Hello, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone in the house. If you can see my screen and you can hear my voice, kindly type in a hi in the comment section so that I can be sure we are on the same page on this one. Hey, 359, good morning to you. Good morning, golden boy. Good morning, Carrie. Trust you're doing well. Good morning, 469. 883. Thank you. Good morning, golden boy. 435. Hi. 747. Good morning. Dino keeps saying thanks, thanks. I wonder why that is. Are we excited to be here this morning? It has been bearish major pairs yesterday, and we are quite in some profit on most of those pairs. All right, so once again, I want to welcome you all to yet another beautiful session of Extra in Speed Live with my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. As usual, I shall be taking you on a trading journey through the charts where we shall be evaluating chart patterns, trend lines, structures, market structures, and we are going to be using these parameters to identify trading opportunities as we head into the New York session. And in addition, we are going to also be looking at the pairs we talked about yesterday. That is, we talked about, I think, like 6 to 7 pairs we deliberated on yesterday. So we are going to look at how well they are doing and what is going to be our plans as we head into the New York session. And if there are little tips and notes that we might see on the chart, I shall be sharing it with you guys. Above all, my job here is to make things very simple for you so that when you head into the New York session, you will be able to make your independent decision very swiftly and with utmost confidence. So without further ado, let's dive into the charts and let's see what is happening. So as usual, the first pair we are going to be deliberating on is on the US oil. And okay, Scott Benji, good morning to you. Good morning. 359. Oh, compliments. I hope I can do better for you today. 288, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. 060, good day to you all. Good day to you as well. So let's go into the chart right now without further ado, and let's see what is happening on the pairs we talked about yesterday. So the first pair we are going to be deliberating on here is the US oil, which went all significantly well as we were able to push price. We were able to join the rally to the downside as expected, as we at no point saw any a reversal pattern right above that bullish trend line. If I take you back to our scenario yesterday, we had the scenario where we were looking out for two possibilities here on the US oil, and the first scenario was we saw the breakout of structure and we were looking for a reversal pattern right above the bullish trend line, where we are going to be looking for structures that support a trend continuation to the upside. Fortunately for us, that did not happen, and we saw a breakdown of that key level, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line, and we saw a retest of structure which confirmed that we are going bearish on this one. If we scale down to the 15 minutes time frame, we saw how vivid that was. Look at it. Let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So we had a breakdown of the key level, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line. We saw a retest of structure, giving us a confirmation that price will be going to the downside. So definitely we will be taking the trade right below the structure, and we were able to hit our take profit target with almost about how many pips that is. We had over 500 pips to catch on that one, and if I don't know if you actually follow the trend as price was going further down, because personally I actually extended my TP target as price was moving to the downside. And what do we have now? Let's go back to our 1 hour time frame, and if we look at what structure has been giving us since the later part of the New York session yesterday, we saw our price has been doing a consolidation phase. Right after that impulsive move to the downside, we saw price move back to $102 area. Then price appears to be doing a consolidation at this point, if emphasizing the indecision that has gripped the market at this point. So one thing that is happening here, based on the market structure we are seeing, based on the price movement we have on the chart right now, we can peep into the psychology in the market. So one thing I'm looking at, based on this consolidation phase happening right here, give me a moment, let's delete this TP target as this is no longer needed. So we had a demand zone around this area which was broken to the downside. We can see how the demand zone we had that was holding price supported in the past, at least in the later part of June, we saw our price was supported, pushing price to the upside. But now we are seeing a breakdown and retest of that demand zone. So we have a breakdown like this, and we saw a retest, and price is caught within a consolidation phase. So going into the New York session, what is going to be our plan? First of all, I want us to identify this consolidation phase, and what we're going to be having is this. We can see we can actually hold on to this area. This is the first area here. Let's give this a purple so that we don't mix things up with our. So we have a purple here, we have a consolidation phase here, and we have it here. So price has been oscillating right between the $102 and the $99 area. So going into the New York session, what do we have to do at this point? First of all, if we look at the market structure right now, having a breakdown of the demand zone, we saw a breakdown of demand zone, we saw a retest of that demand zone now, and the probability that price will be going downwards is very, very high at this point. However, we cannot just jump into the trade just like that, as we'll need to look out for signals, after which we're going to be looking out for confirmations that will support that perspective before we want to join any position right now. In as much as this is being identified, I want to give a piece of advice. At this point, we really need to be very, very careful. Really need to be very, very cautious, as we are already in profit on the US oil. So it's appropriate that we remain patient, as we want to be looking out for the position that will be yielding for us during the New York session. We're already in profit. We don't want to lose what we have already gained in the market, and that's in that regard we want to be looking out for a very strong signal that will support a perspective before we want to hop into either a rally or a decline. We all understand that from a technical perspective, after every impulsive move, we normally expect a retracement phase into a golden zone area where we will be looking for a reversal pattern that will send price going to the downside. That is from a technical perspective. So if that is going to be the case, the possibility that price is going to break out of this channel is still there. That is a breakout of this channel, a retest of this channel, which can push price to the upside and with the intention of a trend continuation in the form of reversal pattern within this area that will put price to the downside. So this is a possibility that we cannot ignore on this chart. So because of this, I've said we should be very wary of how we take our trend continuation to the downside. So the first thing I want to be doing here is to identify a golden zone of this previous impulse leg, after which I want to identify our first scenario on this pair. So if we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through the previous impulse leg, definitely we are going to be having our golden zone area right between the 78.6% and the 50% of the previous impulse leg. So if we have something like this, then for those who actually thinking of scalpers and those who take trades on lower time frame could be looking for a bullish potential if price breaks above that channel with the intention of a take profit target within the golden zone I just identified here. So firstly, I want to label this area selling opportunity, that is for a trend continuation. So that's the first scenario we're going to be having here. And hold on a second, let's place this right between in the middle of that box. So we have a selling opportunity, and at the same time we have a TP target for bullish movement. I will explain that to you in a moment, please. TP target for bullish potential. So this is what I'm trying to explain here. Hold on a second, let's delete this. No, let me make this clearer so that we don't get things mixed up at this point. Okay, so we have it like this. So the first scenario is this: if we see price break out of this channel during the New York session, price comes back down to do a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that support a trend continuation to the upside, then definitely we want to see this bullish move as a temporary move, as this might be a move into the bullish trend line that was broken earlier, that is yesterday, where we will be looking at a retest of that bullish trend line to send price crashing to the downside, or probably price come back to where it has started during the week, where we'll be looking out for a reversal pattern within this area to join the decline to the downside. So this is the first scenario I'm looking at on the US oil, and that's only going to happen if we do have a breakout of this channel we just identified within the zone here, within the $100 area. And if you agree with me, the $100 area is a very, very psychological level, as a break above the $100 or break below the $100 could send price moving in whatever direction it pays sporadically. So that's the first scenario I'm having here on the US oil. So we're expecting price to break above the channel, move into the TP target zone for bullish potentials, where we're going to be looking for a selling opportunity to the downside. Personally, if I were you, being a long-term trader, I would be taking that bullish momentum, because we are actually within a very strong bearish move, and it is very, very it's not advisable to take such an opportunity within jumping onto a moving trend is very, very risky at this point. So we want to be looking for patterns to form a trend continuation that projects a downward move. So that's why I'll be waiting for price to come into this area if I see a break above of this channel. So now, with this being said, what is going to be our second scenario? So the second scenario on the US oil here, since we already have a breakdown of this demand zone here, and we already saw a retest of the structure, then I want to see a breakdown of this channel to the downside. That is, this channel is broken to the downside, and if possible, the previous low is broken. Remember, we are not going to jump into a trade just because we see an engulfing candle. This is going to be seen as a signal. Remember, we are already profitable on the US oil, and we do not want to lose whatever we have profited in the last 24 hours. Some people will have taken this profit and left the market for the week if they had made a huge sum. However, we still want to take some. We're still looking for a way to milk the market, and because of that, we are not jumping into any sudden move. We want to look out for signals and then confirmations that will support that trend move to the downside. So if we are going to be seeing a breakdown of this channel during the New York session, and if possible, because that is very important, if possible, price breaks below the previous low here at $97.50, then I want to be looking forward to a retest of structure. It might not go this far, it might even go further than that and go into this area, but one thing there is this: I want to be looking for a retest where a reversal pattern will evolve or appear on probably on this 1 hour time frame or on a lower time frame like your 10, 15 or 5 minutes time frame. Look out for a reversal pattern, after which I want to join the move to the downside. So with these two scenarios being identified at this point, where will our take profit target be? Well, if we look at what market has been doing in the last 24 hours, we do have an impulse leg we can work with. And if you're already a fan of my pattern of trading, then we will know that we always want to project that impulse leg. We always want to project the impulse leg into the future to simulate where our take profit target is going to be. So if that's going to be the case, then we bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, run it through the previous impulse leg, and what do we have? We aim at a between the 127.2 and the 1414 area as a TP target for any selling momentum here on the US oil. So at this point, I want to label this area for the sake of clarity, so we can have a visual representation of what we're talking about here. So we have our TP target sitting right around $93 area, and that's if price is coming right from below this structure, then that's going to be around close to over 600 pips to catch if that's going to happen. And if price goes above, that is, breaks out of this channel and find itself right within this area before the impulsive move to the downside happens, then definitely we are going to be aiming at a minimum of about 1,000 pips to catch here on the US oil. We shouldn't be getting too excited at this moment, as we want to keep our nerves and we want to be at the right frame of mind to take advantage of that potential move when it finally happens. So with this scenario I've played here, I think it's going to be very easy for you. I presume and assume it's going to be very easy for you to take advantage of whatever potential is coming before us during the New York session. So this might be the potential of the market for this week. It might be bearish. So let's see how price plays out at this point. Now, another thing that comes to my mind right now is this. If we see a breakout of this area, of this channel here, we see a breakout of this channel and price goes into the selling area, like I said earlier, we are looking for a reversal pattern to join the trend downwards. However, if we do have a breakout of that bullish trend line we had earlier, then we might be going bullish from this point. And what are we going to be looking out for? We want to be looking out for a retest of that bullish trend line with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to join the rally to the upside. So until that happens, until we see a break above of that bullish trend line we have on the daily time frame, we are going to be holding a bearish bias. But if we have a breakout of that bullish trend line, definitely we want to be looking for selling opportunities. If we don't have a breakout, rather, we want to be looking for selling opportunities. You might be asking, what is this bullish trend line you're talking about? If you are with me yesterday, you will know what I'm talking about. But for the sake of clarity, I would like to call our attention back to the daily time frame where we have that bullish trend line I'm talking about here. You can see that bullish trend line on your screen. And like I said, a retest of this bullish trend line will send price crashing to the downside. And if we do have a breakout of that bullish trend line, which I was explaining on the daily time, on the 1 hour time frame, then a retest of structure could push price to the upside. So this is my expectation here on the US oil. And if there are questions or you need further clarification, you can drop it in the comment section. I shall be going through the charts in a moment, and I'll be giving 10 to 15 seconds in that regard. If you have any, drop in the comment section and I'll be willing to be of assistance in that regard. Hi, hello. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, in the absence of no questions, I guess we have to move on to the next commodity we talked about yesterday. And as usual, that is the UK oil. The same scenario we had on the UK oil. If you are taking advantage of that move, kudos to you, as we were able to catch about how many pips that he is on this one. At least a minimum of 500 pips was caught on this one, as our initial target was the previous demand zone. And what do we have here at this point? So let us see what is happening in the market right now and how do we intend taking advantage of any potential heading into the New York session. Now, the bearish trend line we have here that has been running since on the 14th of June appears to have been broken to the downside, and we are having something that looks like a retest of that structure. To give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about, we have this bearish impulsive move to the downside, and then we have a retest of this bearish line, and we had a consolidation phase around that area to give us a sign that participants are actually waiting for a catalyst that will advise or give them a signal on where the price of the UK oil is going to be heading towards during the New York session. So like we did on the US oil, we want to identify the channel, right? We identify the channel just like we did, and we have something like this. Hold on a second. So we have the channel around this area, and this channel is the consolidation phase I was explaining to you earlier. We can see how price has been juxtaposing between this zone, between this area. So what is it we are going to be looking out for going into the New York session? Well, first we are going to be looking out for breakouts with the intention of giving us a signal of where price is going to be heading towards. Like I said on the US oil, after every impulsive move, we expect a retracement move. That is, price after every impulsive move, we expect a retracement phase into the golden zone area, which also shares a conference with the previous demand zone, where we might be looking forward to a reversal pattern that will send price going to the downside. So in that regard, we want to identify this golden zone area so that we will have a clearer picture of what our expectation is going to be. So if we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through that impulse leg, we have between the 78.6% and the 50% of the previous impulse leg as either our take profit target for those who are going to be taking that counter trend opportunity, and a selling opportunity or a selling window for those who intend taking advantage of the downtrend continuation. So let's label this area. We have a selling opportunity around that area. Then we have a TP target for bullish potential. So we have this scenario here. Let's delete this. We no longer need this. So for those who are intending to take that reversal pattern, that's counter trading opportunity, that is to look out for a breakout of structure, retest of structure, look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports the trend continuation to the upside, where we will be looking at a take profit target within, right below the key level at $112, or at the area where price started, or between this golden zone area we have identified here, after which we're going to be looking for a reversal pattern on this area to take advantage of that trend continuation to the downside. So that's the first scenario, just exactly like what we have on the US oil. Now the second scenario is this: are we going to be having a breakdown of this channel? If we do have a breakdown of the channel, we can see that a breakdown of that channel will also share a confluence with the bearish trend line that was just broken down during the later part of the New York session yesterday. So if that's going to be happening, we look out for a signal in the form of a breakdown of that structure, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line. And if possible, if we do have a breakdown of the previous low, then that makes us more confident to take advantage of a selling momentum right at the retest of structure, where we'll be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So that is the scenario we'll be looking out for here on the UK oil. And where will our take profit target be? As usual, we want to be using the previous impulse leg as our yardstick in projecting where our take profit target is going to be. For the sake of specificity, we bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, run it through that impulse leg, and we take a aim at a 127.2 and 1414 area as our take profit target. And if that is going to be the case, we are going to be having somewhere between this area, that is between the $95.50 and the $97.50 area, as our take profit target for the selling momentum. So I would like to label it TP target selling momentum. Okay, so that's what we're going to be having, which will dovetail to how many pips. If we are taking right below the bearish trend line, then it's going to dovetail to over 500 pips. And if we are going to be taking right from the selling opportunity zone we identified earlier, then we will be aiming at over 1,200 pips for this one. So remember, we shouldn't get too excited as we wait for signals and then confirmations before we join whatever perspective the market is heading towards. Now, if a bullish momentum is going to be coming up here on the UK oil, definitely we want to be seeing a break above of the $112 area, where a retest of structure, which also shares a confluence with the previous demand zone at around $108 or $107 area, could give us a signal that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So this is my scenario here going to the New York session, and I think I've made things a little bit simpler, as we have major parameters that will guide our actions during the New York session. However, if you do need further clarifications, or you don't understand a certain perspective which I shared to you, you might want to drop a comment in the comment section, and let me see if I will be willing to be of help in that regard. So I'll be giving like 10 to 15 seconds for this. So let's see who is in the house that needs further clarification. Can 786, I just spoke about the US. Okay. In the absence of none, I want to assume that my explanation has been very clear so far. So let's move on to the Euro USD. On the Euro USD, we are still yet to gain that momentum as we were expecting the price to do a correction, a retracement into somewhere around the bearish trend line where we'll be looking out for a trend continuation to the downside. However, things have not moved in that way since in the last 24 hours as we continue to find price finding lower lows and lower highs. So going into the New York session, there is a key level we're going to be working with, and that is going to be around this area at 1.02350 area. Hold on a second. 1.02350 area. So this will be our new key level, and for those who took advantage of that move from this area, we took that bearish move since Monday. We've been enjoying this bearish momentum since Monday. We took it right below the breakdown of the structure. We had a structure here, we had a reversal pattern here which was shared on Monday. We're looking out for, and we had this move. Then price came down and all the way into our take profit target, dovetailing to about over 200 pips or 200 pips here. Now that we're in profit, how do we want to take advantage of any potential? Definitely, one thing I want to be looking forward to going into the New York session is that the bearish trend line here shall be my key level, shall be one of the parameters I want to be looking out for. The bearish trend line is the one, the red dotted line you can see on your screen. Hold on a second, let me clean this up so that we can have a clearer picture of. Okay, so I want to wait for price to come into either this key level at 1.2350, or I wait for price to come into this bearish trend line where I'll be looking for structures that will support a trend continuation to the downside. Sorry, is my temporary level okay? 1.023. It is 1.02350. So this is what I'll be looking out for on the Euro USD. The US dollar appears to be gaining very strong traction since the beginning of the week, and we only want to be selling the Euro USD at this point in time. And at this point, if you had missed that initial move, then we really need to be very patient, as it might take some time for us to see a retracement that will come back into either the key level or this bearish trend line where we could take advantage of a trend continuation to the downside. So if you are taking advantage of the initial move since Monday, kudos to you. You'll be in profit of over 200 pips by now. And for those who are here to take that advantage, then definitely I'll be advising you to remain patient, to wait for another opportunity to unfold before you can actually do anything here. So it is very advisable to take selling momentum here on the Euro USD. The only scenario that will welcome us to take bullish momentum here is if we see a breakout of this bearish trend line, after which we see a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frames supporting a trend continuation. Then we want to be looking for bullish potential. But as long as price is rallying right below that bearish trend line, definitely, and right below the key level at 1.02350, we want to be doing a sell on this one. I hope I'm very clear on the EURUSD. So let's move on to the other pair we were talking about. We talked about yesterday, that was the GBPCHF, where I'm still expecting that bullish momentum to happen. And here on the GBPCHF, we are still in a averagely lost position at this point, as price is still expected to continue right above that key level at 1.15900 area, as I am expecting price to do a breakout of this area, retest of structure with patterns on some lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. However, if we look at what has been happening since the beginning of the week, we saw that price initially went up into 1.168230, after which we saw price come down to this area, which has been a demand zone. If we look left, we can see how this area has been a demand zone since on the 29th of June. As every time price comes into this area, we normally see a rejection by the buyers that push price to the upside. So because of this, I don't want to be doing any sell here, as if I am going to be doing a sell on this pair, I want to see price break down that demand zone significantly well, after which I'm looking for a retest of structure to take the trend continuation to the downside. Remember that we are on a descending channel. If I go to the 4 hours time frame, we can see that vividly. We are on a descending channel. However, since price tested 1.15450 area on the later part of June, we can see that sellers have been finding it very difficult to push price further to the downside. Hence, the buyers for bullish on this one suffices. So we want to be looking at a take profit target at around the resistant level of the channel here. That is the first take profit target area. But on a long-term perspective, I am looking at the take profit target around between the 1.19 area and the 1.21 area from a long-term perspective. So let's see how this is going to play out during the New York session. I'm hopeful that price will play bullish before the week runs out, and if it doesn't happen, then we will pass the trade and let's see what will happen during next week. But for now, I still maintain a bullish bias on the GBPCHF, and we are looking for price right above 1.159 area for a signal that a bullish momentum has finally come. So let's see how it's going to play out in the next couple of hours or the next couple of days, after which we'll be able to make a decision on this one. So that is our scenario on the GBPCHF. So we move on to the next pair we talked about yesterday, was the gold, which was also a very profitable trade as price moved significantly well as expected during the New York session yesterday. We were around this area yesterday. We saw how price did a reversal pattern within our identified supply zone. We saw how price did a reversal pattern here, and then we took the trade here. During yesterday's session, we were already in profit around this area, where I said if price break down the $1,800 area, do a retest of structure, we want to add position. And for those who didn't take advantage of that trade, that area will welcome another position to this trade, which worked perfectly as expected. And if you were in this trade, you will have taken about how many pips on this one? Over 3,500 pips on this one, as our take profit target fell around $1,768. So now going into the New York session, what do we have here? If we look left and see our price after that impulsive move to the downside, what did we see? We see that price is caught within a consolidation phase, and we want to be using this consolidation phase as our parameter going into the New York session. So what does a consolidation phase tells us? It tells us how participants in the market are caught within an indecision, within a dilemma, where they are yet to decide where price is going to go from this area. So I want to delete this for the sake of clarity, so that we can now identify this channel and we want to be using this channel as our yardstick, as a breakout of structure will be a signal we want to be looking out for. So allow me to do this. We draw a channel here. This is our resistance level, and we have this purple. Then we have the support level around this area. So we have the support level right around this area. Give me a moment, please. Can I use my line chart for... Okay, let's have it right below this area. So we have our support level at around this area. So one thing we want to be looking out for is either a breakout or retest of structure. For instance, this is more or less a similar scenario with what we have on the US and the UK oil, where if we are going to be buying the gold, we want to be looking out for a breakout of this channel, a retest of this channel, where we'll be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside, with a take profit target at around the key level area, which also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. We have this bearish trend line, where we might be looking forward to price coming into. However, the other scenario is this, which is already evolving right now. We already saw a breakdown of this key level at $1,763. And one thing we want to see is this is just a signal. We are not just joining. We can't just join right away, as we want to look out for is a significant breakdown of that channel, and then we look out for a retest of structure, where we will be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So remember, like I always say, in a scenario where you are already profitable, your profit should give you the leverage to be more calmer, so that you don't lose out on whatever you have made so far. So because we're already profitable on the XAUUSD as well, we want to be more calmer and wait for confirmations that insinuates that price is going further to the downside before we want to hop in on the train. So like I said, we have two scenarios here on the XAUUSD. The first scenario is we want to wait for a breakout of that structure, a retest of that structure, where we'll be looking out for a take profit target within the $1,805 area, or probably price might get into the bearish trend line we had here, which might push price further to the downside. Or on the contrary, we wait for price to break down the structure, giving us a signal first. Then we wait for price to do a retest of structure, after which we look for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. So this is my scenario here on the XAUUSD. On the gold, we're still expecting to be bearish here on the gold. And let's see, if I project this bearish trend line here into the future, what do we have here? We have a channel, we have a descending channel, and let's see if price is going to come back up into this area, after which we want to be looking for a downtrend scenario, or if price is actually going to just break down this area, retest of structure, and push price to the downside. So we have two scenarios here on the XAUUSD as well. So I would advise that you might want to screenshot my screen so that you can use it as a reference point whenever you are making your individual decision during the New York session. So let's see how price plays out. We have two scenarios to work with, and whatever happens, I will advise that I wish you be on standby so that you can take advantage of whatever perspective that comes up during the session. So that is that on the XAUUSD. All right, so moving on, then we talked about was it YDI yesterday was called our attention to the US tech, where I explained how to take advantage of that commodity from a technical perspective, and we already have a scenario that is aligning up for us here on the US tech. And one thing we saw here is this: we were around this area yesterday when I was explaining to you how we might intend taking advantage of that move. So we were right below the key level, cited at $1,600 area, and I was expecting how price to break out of that key level to give us a signal of a bullish momentum, after which we want to be looking out for a retest of structure and patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. Now we already have a breakout of structure, so is structure going to give us that confirmation to join the rally to the upside or not? So in this scenario now, we just need to just be patient here. Let's be patient and let's see how price is going to play out. We already have an ascending channel that we hope it's going to work in a bullish in the bull's favor. So let's see how this plays out. So we're still waiting for a retest of structure to give us a sign that price is going to be going to the upside. So this is my scenario here on the US tech. We are not supposed to be selling US tech unless we see a breakdown of this major demand level that was identified here yesterday. So patience is required here on the US tech. So what pair do we want us to talk about today? Do you have any pair you want us to talk about today? I already have one or two pairs that I might want to share with you before the end of the session. I think I have like 5 to 10 more minutes to pull off any stunts here. Okay. So let's look at I think I have a scenario on EURCAD. Yes, I have a scenario here on EURCAD where I'm expecting a bearish momentum, and we're already in profit personally for me. Well, one thing I want us to be doing here is this. Hold on a second. We're already out on profit already, and I thought I will be able to give you something before. So we have a key level sitting right around this area. And let's see if price is going to come back into this area. So if price does, then we might want to be taking advantage of a retest of structure and to add more position to this trade, something like this. So let's see how that plays out during the New York session for the EURCAD. So if that happens, then we can take advantage of the selling momentum. That's if you see a retest of structure here on the EURCAD. I think how many pips now? We have some 3 pips on this one. Okay, so that's on EURCAD. Then the GBPUSD 2 was a very profitable trade for us yesterday. Okay, I think we shared the GBPUSD on Monday, I guess, and we saw this move to the downside. We were profitable, and some of the same scenario we have here with that which we had on the, which one is it, oil? Yes, oil. We have a major demand level broken. Demand level is broken. We have it broken around this area, and so what do we want to be doing here? We want to be waiting. Well, for me personally, I'll just wait for price to come into this TP target area, after which I'll be looking for a reversal pattern from this area. So what I'm saying is this: I'm waiting for price to come into this area. I'll look for a reversal pattern for a correction move that will send price to the downside. So on the GBPUSD, I want to hold on and let's see how price plays out during the New York session to now make a decision on this one, because it's not appropriate to just join that moving train at the moment. We want to go and join it at the next bus stop. So this is the next bus stop here. So let's see how price plays out, and then if we see a reversal pattern within this area, then we want to join a rally to the upside. So this is what I'm talking. Okay. Okay, AUDUSD, USD, South African Rand. Well. Let me quickly look at AUDUSD. Let's look at AUDUSD before we go for today. I'm already out of schedule. Well, I have a trade here on EURUSD, AUDUSD already, and I'm in profit. But the reason why I've lost profit here on AUDUSD, and the reason why I've done that is because we can see, if we look at the left, let's look at what's happening on the 4 hours time frame. We are on a downtrend scenario. We should acknowledge that first. We are on a downtrend scenario. We can see how this expansion, we saw this huge expansion that began in the month of June. And for me personally, This huge expansion is not replicating itself anymore. This huge expansion is not replicating itself anymore. As we can see that the expansion has reduced. If you compare the expansion since price tested, when price is rejected from that bearish trend line, you can see that it keeps on reducing. If you look at the length of this expansion here, it's not the same with what we have initially. Is like times 3 of what we have initially. So this is giving me a clue into the reduction in momentum of the sellers at this point. So what I'm seeing here is there is the possibility of a bullish momentum coming in at this point. So personally, I took a selling opportunity here yesterday morning, and as soon as price got into this level at 0.67600 area, I had to move my stop loss to lock in some profit. And the reason why I moved my stop loss was because of what is happening here. If we look left, we can see that this area 0.67700 area appears to be rejected the second time. We saw the first rejection here on the first day of the month, and then we saw another rejection around this area during the course of yesterday's trading session. Sorry about that. So we saw this rejection again during the yesterday's trading session, and what happened afterwards? We saw price finding higher lows at this point. We can see higher lows at this point. So one thing I want to be looking out for is this. I want to be very patient on this one, as there is a possibility that price could break above this bearish trend line, and if that happens, we are not going to be taking that trade outrightly. We want to be patient and hold on to see if price is going to do a retest of that structure, where we'll be looking out for reversal patterns on lower time frame that will project a trend continuation to the upside. But if that does not happen, then definitely we want to be taking advantage of a selling momentum if price breaks down this demand zone, retest of structure, then price moving to the downside. So this is how we want to take advantage of this trade. I'm not in a hurry to make money here. I'm already in profit. I'm going to lock my profit in. I will advise you to do the same. Don't be in a hurry. Wait for signals and wait for confirmations to join the rally or the decline. So at this point, let me identify a key level that will guide our action going into the New York session. Why do we identify key level? Key level is just a parameter we are using to make our job easier when we are about to make our own individual decision during the New York session. So if you bring out my line chart at this point and we want to connect an area that has been holding price resisted, you can see this area. I can see this area was holding price supported, resistant. So you will agree with me that this area has been a major determinant of price action in the last 7 to 8 days now. So what I want to be doing at this point is to connect the series together and be using this as our yardstick as we head into the New York session. So the 0.68100 area appears to be the level we're going to be working with going forward. So we have somewhere around here. So let's label this for the sake of clarity. So we have key level, let me say temporary key level at 0.68100 area. So this is what we're going to be having here going into the New York session. So this is going to be our guide, and how are we going to use this area as a trading opportunity for us. So one thing I want to also be doing here is this. If price breaks above this area, we want to hold on for any selling opportunity, as a possible breakout of that bearish trend line could happen, where I said a retest of structure could push price to the upside. But now that we saw that price has rejected that key level at 0.681 area twice, now we saw the first one here, we saw the first rejection here, we saw the second rejection here, then that looks more like a double bottom structure. That is, if a breakdown of this structure happens, and then a retest of this neckline of that reversal pattern happens, then we want to join the decline to the downside. So my advice is that you remain patient here on the AUDUSD, as is, like I always say, it's better not to take a trade at all than to take a trade and lose money. So it's appropriate that we wait for structures to form. In the form, we have a signal before a confirmation that will send rally down to the downside. So let me come again on this one. For selling momentum, we want to see a breakdown of structure, a retest, then we enter the trade to the downside. And if a buy is going to happen, then definitely we want to see price break above this key level at 0.681, and if possible break above that bearish trend line, after which we look out for a retest of structure, and then on lower time frame look out for patterns that support a trend continuation to the upside. But if you're already in this trade since yesterday, like I am, then I would advise you just move your stop loss to right above this temporary key level, and let's see what happens afterwards. So I hope I'm clear on the AUDUSD. Who asked after? Okay, I think 359 asked after AUDUSD. So I hope you are very clear on that one. And I think at this point I'm going to be calling it a day. But before I do, let's quickly do a quick recap of what we talked about so far. So the first pair we deliberated on today was on the US oil, and on the US oil we actually identified a channel that will guide our action going into the New York session. And the first scenario is this: we want to wait for price to do a breakout of the channel to give us a signal. So we have the first scenario in the form of a breakout above that channel, a retest of structure to push price into this area, after which we'll be looking for a reversal pattern around this area to join the decline to the downside. Then the other scenario is if we have price breakdown of this channel, and if possible break down the previous low, then a retest of this channel in any way with a pattern on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation should send price crashing to the downside. So for both scenarios, we have a TP target sitting at around $93 area, where we will be having, if we started from here, price comes into this area, we'll be having over 1,200 pips to catch, and if from below the structure, we will be having around over 500 to 600 pips to catch on this one. Then we moved on to the UK oil, where we have a similar scenario which we had with what we had on the UK oil, on the US oil rather, and we're expecting that if price breaks above the channel that we identified earlier, a retest of structure could send price going into this area, after which I'm expecting price to do a reversal pattern right below the key level at $112 area that will send price crashing to the downside. And the other scenario is this: if price breaks down this channel, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line here, and then a retest of structure, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the downside. So for both scenarios here, we have our TP target sitting at around $96 and $97.5 area with a minimum of about 600 pips, and if price comes to the top here, then we should be aiming at over 1,200 pips here. Then immediately we moved on to the EURUSD, where, hold on a second, where is my EURUSD here? Okay, we have it right here. So EURUSD was a pair we took since on Monday. We took the trade right from this point, and since then we've been on profit as price finally hit our take profit target in the early hours of today with over 200 pips. And like I said, if you had missed that opportunity, then at this point you want to hold on, as we only want to sell the EURUSD, and the only way we can sell the EURUSD at this point is we identified a key level at 1.02350, where I said price could probably come to do a retest of structure, where we look out for patterns that will send price crashing to the downside. And on the other scenario is if we have price come back into the bearish trend line, then we look out for reversal patterns that will send price crashing to the downside. Then if a bullish momentum is going to happen here on the EURUSD, we are not going to do any buy until we see price break above that bearish trend line, hereby giving us a sign that buyers have taken over, as that trend line will no longer hold the sellers anymore. Then a retest of that trend line or that key level could push price to the upside. So that's our scenario there on the Euro USD. After that, we moved on to the GBPCHF, where we're still expecting that bullish momentum to happen in the last 3 days now. Where's my GBPCHF at this point? Okay, we have it here. So like I said, we've been expecting that bullish momentum to happen, and we're expecting to happen in the form of a breakout of the key level at 1.15900. After a retest of structure, a reversal pattern here would push price to the upside. So this is my scenario here on the GBPCHF with a take profit target at around the resistant level of the downtrend channel and a long-term perspective at between the 1.19 and the 1.2 area. So for me on the GBPCHF, we are not going to be doing any sell unless price breaks below this demand zone, do a retest of that demand zone, then we push to the downside. So this is the scenario we're looking out for on the GBPCHF. Then we moved on to the gold. That's the XAUUSD, where we took advantage of a selling momentum here yesterday, right above the key level at $1,805, and we were able to take a profit at around this area with over 3,000 pips here. And one thing I said here is this: we have two scenarios that will guide our actions during the New York session. We identified a channel right after the bearish impulsive move to the downside. This impulsive move to the downside, we saw that price was caught within a channel, emphasizing the indecision that is in the market as participants are actually waiting for a catalyst that will push price to either up or down, where they want to join the rally or decline. So what we want to be doing here is this: going into the New York session, we want to wait and see if price is going to break above this channel, do a retest of structure, then we want to join a rally, which might be in the form of a retracement of the previous impulse leg, after which a decline could happen afterwards. And the second scenario we have here on the XAUUSD, excuse me, the second scenario we're having here on the XAUUSD is the possibility, if we do have a breakdown of this channel, a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. We already have something that looks like a breakout of structure, but I want to suggest that we wait for this candle to close and let's see how it plays out. And if it plays out and we don't have a retest of structure, forget about it, just let the trade pass. There are tons of opportunities in the market for us to take advantage of. So we are looking out for a breakdown retest of this area, then we join the decline to the downside if that happens. Then we moved on to the US tech, where I explained how to take advantage of a bullish momentum here. And one thing I made mention here is that we have a significant level at $11,600, where we've already seen a signal in the form of a breakout of that key level. So one thing we want to be waiting for here is to see a retest of structure and a patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So on the US tech here, one thing we should observe here is that it appears price is going through an ascending channel, so our take profit target should flow in that direction as well. Then we moved on to the AUDUSD pair, to where I shared two scenarios. I told you I was in this trade already and I'm already in profit, but I've moved my stop loss accordingly, and the reason why I did that is because of the retest of this structure at 0.67600 area. We saw the first one at the beginning of the month and we saw the second one here, and because of this I moved my stop loss to right above this key level at 0.68100 area. And for those who have not joined this trade, then definitely we want to be doing a sell only if we see a breakdown of this area, which has held price supported in the past, we can see. So we want to be sure that the supply level has finally been established around this area. So one thing we want to be looking out for is a breakdown of the structure, a retest of the structure, after which we look for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside. The other question is this: What if the selling momentum is not going to happen? Then definitely, if you really want to buy on this one, then we want to wait for price to break above that temporary key level, which also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line we've identified here. Then a breakdown, a retest of structure, where we'll be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So these are my scenarios here on the AUDUSD, and I hope that whatever I've shared so far will be of immense assistance to you during the New York session. And whatever I've shared so far, we have parameters, we have key levels to guide our action. So I've made our job very easy during the New York session, so that when you're about to take your own trade individually, you can use these parameters, the structures, to identify your entry point and take profit target as well. Thank you for being around with me. I really appreciate every moment I shared with you guys. You're really the best, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. On this note, I wish you the best of luck during the New York session, and let's see here tomorrow and count our profits. Thank you and goodbye.